Hello everyone, this is Dreadwing 2029, and I finally did it. I finally saw Transformers Rise of the Beast, and it's well worth the wait, mainly because in Australia, unfortunately, they decided to release it on June the 22nd, which is a week, pretty much essentially 2 weeks, essentially well after the US's release, which was in June the 6th, and I think also some parts of the rest of the world got it as well. So kind of Australia kind of got left behind in its release. I mean, they did a premiere, I think a week after the US release, but I wasn't in those cities, which would have been Sydney and Brisbane and Melbourne, which I missed the premiere. So unfortunately, I had to wait a little bit for the actual release in cinemas normally, which is June the 2nd. So finally watched it, and I have to say, without spoilers, first off, it was really, really good. I kind of sort of expected the way the story was going to go, like MacGuffins and really simple plot, but the simple plot can work. It's not too overly convoluted. Like some of the Michael Bay movies, it's not as overly convoluted like Transformers: The Last Night, which if you want to watch a convoluted movie, that's your best bet. But the plot is really nicely simple, and also one thing I really, really love, which I'm going to say over and over, is the CGI is so crisp. There's a little bit of sections where, the humans don't really line up with the Transformers, but aside from those small bits, I'm probably just nitpicking, but the CGI is very crisp, like well done. Just like with Bumblebee, the Bumblebee movie, like the CGI was super duper well done. Like even like sections I've noticed on Optimus Primal, there's like little bits of rust on the robotic bits on his gorilla mode, which is fantastic details. And even like small details on Scourge, like all of his insignias like around his body, which even with a little bit of rust, that looks just stellar. And also Unicron himself, just wow. That would have been a nightmare to try and animate and render and rig but Unicron looks amazing in CG, and live action Unicron as well, which I can't get enough of. So that's also a big tick for me. And also the voices and the cast here are really, really good. I mean, a lot of the voice actors and cast I don't even recognize. Like the main star, Noah, apparently he's been on quite a few movies like King of the Monsters, Trolls, and even A Star Is Born. Like he's got quite a resume. And aside from like the main ones, like obviously Peter Cullen, Roll Perlman as Optimus Primal, and Peter Dinklage, who's wonderful as a voice for Scourge, which well done for that. So amazing voice. So I really like the movie without spoilers. There's some stuff I need to get to, like especially near the end, which I'll talk about more in the spoiler section, but these are my general thoughts. So the humans in this particular movie are pretty decent. Like I kind of get Noah's story, like he's trying to be the one who has to hold it, I feel like the weight on his shoulders has to hold everyone up and be this anchor essentially for everybody else. And this kind of also lines up with Prime's story as well, which I'll get more into, but kind of relatable with Noah. Like I kind of relate to him a little bit. And also we have Lena Wallace, I think played by Dominic Fishback, I think her name is. Yeah. She works in the museum, and she's kind of, been left under the rug, and essentially people are taking more of the credit that she's doing more of the hard work, and this top authority lady, all dressed in white, is like taking most of the credit that she does, even though she's making more of the discoveries and she wants to prove herself. So again, pretty good in terms of human characters. You don't have them screaming over and over like Bumblebee or Optimus, like that. Like, no. God, no. Just like in the Bayformers, just... God, no. I still remember that. Like, it sticks out every time I watch it. But... yeah. And also some of the music is very, like, it's kind of hip-hoppy. Like, there's one song I straight away recognize. I can't remember the name of the song, but this was also in Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles and his uncle were like down the subway and you got to do like that song when they're like spray painting, you know, down the subway. And I immediately recognized that song. Like, oh yeah, this is the Into the Spider-Verse song. So the song's upbeat and hip hop. With the original score is actually really good. Aside from the soundtrack, the original score is like really well done. Like, I probably need to rewatch it to listen to more tracks, but the score is fantastic. Like, some of them are actually even remakes from the original Bayverse. I think one of them was like the Arrival soundtrack from the 2007 movie. I can't quite remember the other ones, but I'm pretty sure like there's that one, and there was like another one that kind of sounded similar to a score in the Bayverse. So like the original soundtrack is just A+ on that. So yeah. Also, another cool thing to note, which I cannot believe I haven't noted this before, but you know, the model of Optimus Prime, his face is actually modeled after the voice actor Peter Cullen, which is not only just the voice actor for Optimus Prime, but he's also the face of Optimus Prime. That makes it so much, you know, more special seeing Prime on the screen. I mean, there's some shots that are a little bit janky, like the wide shot where Prime, you know, first meets Optimus Prime, when he's, you know, his face comes down and the face doesn't really look that great, to be honest. But then there's like another shot, especially after the museum fight, which is at nighttime, which the Prime face looks fantastic. The nose is a little weird, but you know, the nose is always weird with Transformers. I mean, do they even smell? I mean, I can say yes, mainly because experience, but still, that's still questionable. Even as a Transformer fan, I can't believe I'm directing from Peter Cullen to do Transformers smell? It's funny. Oh my god. So this is obviously directed by Stephen Cappell Jr., but Michael Bay is one of the producers, and also I think also Spielberg. I almost said his name wrong. Spielberg has, you know, some involvement with the project. You can kind of tell with a few of the camera angles, which is almost like the Bayverse, you know, tracking shots and like that. You know, it does kind of make the film better. There's like a cool wide shot which I like, which is a shot where Optimus Prime and Scourge are basically running at each other, which is a cool looking shot. Like, even like some of the CGI shots, especially with Unicron, looked fantastic to see. Just like the shots and shot wise, like this is a really good, you know, in terms of cinematography, like, well done. So now we're going to talk about spoilers, and if you haven't watched the film yet, there's still plenty of time to go out and watch it. I'd highly recommend it if you're a Transformers fan. Definitely love it. So please, you know, go and watch the film. You can come back here, or you can pause the video and come back here, or you can, if you've seen the movie already, you can continue on through the spoiler section. So you've been warned, okay? I'll give you enough time to do that. Okay, that's enough time. Okay, cool. So spoiler section. So first off, the movie begins like in this another planet that's, you know, has Unicron already hanging above it. You know, he deploys these new ships, some of them containing these Scorponok, Terracon drones, and one of them contains his ultimate henchman, Scourge. And the way that Scourge first shows up is, yikes, that is awesome. Like, he's in this dark forest, and he's like, his chest is light up, and a little bit his eyes, and the music's like, it plays that dramatic, music, and it fits perfectly. Like, I love the dramatic build up. But before that, we have the introduction of Apeling, the essentially fifth Maximal, who's essentially this leader of the Maximals before Primal, and he's basically going to stay behind on this planet to buy the Maximals time to escape with this MacGuffin called the Transwarp Key, which the Transwarp drive was just something that was introduced in Beast Wars. I think it's been in other parts of the Transformers mythos and lore, but it was originally introduced in Beast Wars, which enables ships and possibly even Transformers to go through space and time. Basically, it's how the Maximals and Predacons basically ended up on prehistoric Earth on Beast Wars. But since this is Rise of the Beast, they have this Transwarp Key, is essentially the MacGuffin of the film. So the Maximals escape, and Apeling bravely engages Scourge alone, and he absolutely gets destroyed. Like, wow. Like, you think a big, gorilla Transformer would be able to defeat Scourge, especially, how big Apeling is. And he gets absolutely torn. Like, this part gets torn off. And Scourge seems to be one that keeps, the insignias of all these enemies that he's killed, and he just, welds a new Maximal insignia on his shoulder. There's actually, some other insignias. There's like the Autobot Elite Guard, there's a Predacon insignia. I think there's also a couple of Decepticon and other Autobot insignias. I believe there's one insignia I can't quite put my name on, can't quite think of at the moment, but it's unique to the others, and re-seeing the footage again, it looks like it stands out from the others, which is kind of a unique reference, like all of them. But I just wonder, who did Scourge, kill before murdering, Apeling? That's a question, I kind of put towards the directors and theorists as to who he killed before, the events of Rise of the Beast. So then the Autobots eventually arrive at the island, and essentially it's a battle between the Autobots and the Terracons, and basically the Terracons absolutely beat the shit out of the Autobots, and pummel Prime. Scourge, was about to go for the big killing blow, and then Bumblebee, with Prime's axe, was about to charge in and essentially attack Scourge, and then Scourge straight up stabs him and takes another insignia off for his collection, and basically just nonchalantly murders B straight up in like the beginning of the film. Like, well, damn, I thought they were actually, not like stabbing him, but not like a fatal stab, but then, they actually, they actually kind of killed him off. Like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And Scourge is about to add another Prime to his collection, until, they're interrupted by an oncoming ally, that be Airazor, who still don't know how she breathes fire, but, like a dragon, but she basically, scorches the place, and the Terracons retreat, having the key retrieved from the humans. And then it cuts to a scene like, with Prime like kind of blaming not only himself but also the trust in the humans. But this also gives Airazor to explain like who the Terracon, who she is, who the Maximals are, and who Scourge and the Terracons are, and how they're working for, Unicron, and there's a scene where Scourge is talking to Unicron, and Unicron's like, "You failed me," and basically lifting Scourge up like a puppet. It reminds me a little bit like of the '86 movie where like Unicron just torments and tortures Galvatron. This is kind of the same thing a little bit, but not quite. But it's not quite as extreme as the '86 movie, but still torturing, like give me the transwarp key, you pathetic servant, basically is what Unicron's saying to Scourge. And this basically the Autobots give the offer to Noah and Liana, got the name right, Liana, probably not saying it right, to basically go to Peru, with possibility of the second part of the transwarp key, because there's apparently the key was split in two to keep it away from the Terracons, and the second part is apparently in Peru. So the Autobots give Noah ask him to join them to come to Peru and possibly save the world. So he goes back to his place with Mirage and says goodbye to his brother, and his brother's like to Mirage, you better watch his back, or else you have me to come after you. Which is kind of hilarious. And also the boy got over Noah's brother got over the whole fact there's a giant robot just like standing in the alleyway, like, oh, is that a robot? Like, okay, cool, like, got over that quick. So then they cut to the daytime where Mirage turns with Noah, and an introduction to Stratosphere, which pretty cool to see Stratosphere in an action movie, live action movie. It was a movie toy in Revenge of the Fallen, but now he's finally a character, and he's here to take the Autobots to Peru to find the next transwarp key. So that's what he does, and Mirage is not exactly happy. He wanted your 5-star treatment in transportation. Unfortunately, he's like, oh no, not this guy, basically. And then, so on the way to Peru, we have a discussion, like, Lena's like, oh, when I see Prime, he's trying to do his best for not only himself, but also he's kind. And Noah's like, oh, we should destroy the transwarp key. And Optimus is like, can we, the Autobots on the other side, like, oh, can we revive Bumblebee with possibly an Energon infusion, which is a foreshadowing, Deus Ex Machina of potentially something later in the film, which is kind of obvious if you've seen the film. So then in Peru, there's a festival going on, and the Autobots will be seen if they venture forward. So Noah and Lena basically disguise as being part of the parade, while the Autobots take positions to keep an eye out for Scourge and the rest of the Terracons. And this eventually leads to Lena finding some sort of stone ruin with some symbols, maximal symbols, and eventually finds a cavern down below. But eventually the Terracons are secretly watching, and they deploy freezers, while they let the humans do the work for us, basically. And the freezers are supposed to come and grab the key and kill the humans. Basically, while in the cavern, Noah, Lena search around. They eventually find the second piece is missing, and they continue through the cave. And Noah nonchalantly deals with the Terracon drone, and eventually the Terracons are here, and they warn the rest of the Autobots. The Autobots move into rendezvous with Noah and Lena, while the Terracons basically pursue them, and eventually leads into the highway chase scene from the trailers. Cool scene when the missile, flies past RC through Wheeljack's van door, or Pablo. I'm not really referring this as Wheeljack. This is Pablo. Okay? Pablo. Flies through Wheeljack and Pablo's just, flies past them and barely misses them. That was a cool slow-mo shot. I like that. And eventually leads to Scourge and Prime facing off, and basically, in the end, it has, the Autobots retreating to rendezvous with, Airazor, basically coming in and letting them escape, not before Scourge deploys some sort of device which attaches to Airazor and causes some sort of rust on her wing for some reason. But this will come back in relevance later, and eventually leads to the scene when Noah and Lena meets the Maximals, Optimus Primal, and then we got the scene where Cheetor and Rhinox come in, and Prime's like, stand down, and eventually they stand down and have a discussion like, you're Optimus Primal? Yeah, yes, I based this persona off the legendary warrior Optimus Primal. And that's kind of nice implying that your Optimus Primal is still kind of maybe from the future. It kind of doesn't really elaborate on that, but it kind of is kind of hinting at that Prime's still in the future, which is very accurate to Beast Wars. So it eventually leads to the Maximals leading the Autobots to their village. Apparently this is the last generation of humans that apparently knew the Maximals' existence on Earth, and they have been helping them seek refuge on Earth, and basically watching over them, and keeping the key safe from the Terracon hands. So they stay the night, and in the next morning, Airazor is getting infected by this. I guess it's cosmic rust. Is this cosmic rust? Instead of dissolving a Transformer, does it take control of their mind and turn him into a Terracon? Because that would also be a cool use too. So Airazor attacks the Autobots and Maximals and takes the key, and they essentially also get attacked by the other Terracons, and Primal's in hot pursuit of Airazor with the key, and eventually reunites with Scourge, and Scourge is like, didn't I kill you already? And he's like, no, I'm the leader of the Maximals now. Like, obviously Scourge doesn't know that Primal and the Maximals have escaped, otherwise he would have seen them and be like, you escaped, you're not this time. And so it leads to Airazor attacking Primal, and Primal brutally has to kill, Airazor because she's getting infected and becoming this, this Terracon. And the way Primal does it, like, I don't know, it's like kind of like a death hug or something. Like he's kind of squeezing her to death or something. But this does lead to like a death, and sad death, and it's kind of like the emotional Primal's face as he does it is kind of recognized, even for like a giant robotic gorilla. It's still still props for that. And so the Terracons, with both the pieces of Transwarp key, put them together and activate some sort of massive tower at the beginning of the movie, except it's on Earth, to basically give planet Earth to Unicron, and also the Transwarp key to him, basically so he can travel anywhere and devour any planets across time and space. And the Autobots and Maximals eventually, had the idea to team up and figure out a plan to basically stop him, and they come up with this, thanks to Noah, to lure all the Terracons to one area, basically take the battle to them, basically, while Noah and Lena, who has this code to deactivate the Transwarp device that is opening a portal to bring Unicron in, basically has the code to basically stop that. And they need to get to the device, so the Autobots and Maximals are going to cause a distraction, basically. then we have this start of this big battle between Autobots, Maximals, and Terracons. The start of it was pretty cool with all the lineup of the bots and Maximals. It was pretty cool, and then Prime's like, Autobots, and Prime was like, Maximals, roll out, and basically they both charge down the hill, and Cheetor, Primal, and Rhinox all transform, and it's like pretty cool set piece, like pretty cool battle. Like I like battles when done well. This is like perfect. And meanwhile, Mirage realizes that Scourge is not really distracted. All the other Terracons have taken the bait except for Scourge, so the humans are going to go down these air ducts while Mirage essentially distracts Scourge by fighting him, buying him enough time to get to the device. But eventually, Scourge beats the absolute crap out of Mirage and eventually finds Noah, and also eventually Mirage comes in, does this flip and knocks a part of Scourge's face, and probably a few fans are going to be disappointed that for the while people were saying that Scourge was essentially Bayverse Optimus Prime underneath that mask, and essentially he's not. And I'm just like, I kind of knew it. Like, it would be cool, but at the same time it would be kind of weird as well. Like, I don't think they were trying to really make a multiverse with Transformers, not yet. We already have a multiverse with Marvel and DC at the moment, and with the Spider-Verse and like different universes and that. We kind of don't need a multiverse with the Transformers, not yet. I know apparently the Transwarp key is supposed to go through time and space, but still, we don't need a multiverse of Transformers. Thank you, just leave it. But Scourge's face reminds me so much of Bayverse Megatron so much. He even has like the little bit around the eye that's damaged. I know it's on the other side with Megatron, but in this side it was like the left side of Scourge, and just it looks kind of weird and also kind of creepy as well. It's like Scourge has been through some things which the film's not obviously going to address, but so then he eventually discovers Noah through the vent, and Mirage comes in, disarms, takes him off Scourge, and not before, Scourge was about to do the finishing blow against Noah before, Mirage comes in, basically shields Noah from, the blast. Basically, Scourge keeps firing, and, Mirage is getting absolutely pummeled and basically almost dead, essentially. And through the radio, we got, Noah's brother, like, they keep going, you're the strongest person I know. And this is going to be strange, but pieces of Mirage, start to transform around Noah, basically forming the exosuit that, is from the film, that's, in the film's trailer. And Scourge is like, you think you can take me on alone? And then Optimus Prime comes in behind him like, he's never alone. And basically it's a fight between Prime, Scourge, and Noah, who has a jetpack and also has a blaster. He's joining in the fight. It's a cool showdown. And also Noah has like a knife on his arm which stabs Scourge behind the leg, while Prime is basically pummeling him. And there's one moment where I forgot that this is like the Bayverse, like how brutal the Bayverse can be, but this is like next level stuff, like how Optimus Prime finishes off Scourge. So he puts him in the lava a few times, and then the final brutality, he slices Scourge's arms off, then puts a blade through Scourge's like this part of the face. And it's like, I'll show you the power of the primes. It basically decapitates Scourge. You can see like this bit where I think is like a spine in there. I think the body kind of goes into the lava. It's like a Mortal Kombat fatality move. Like Optimus Prime wins. Fatality. Flawless victory. I feel like saying. But all of this is essentially too late. Scourge destroyed the console while Lena was trying to shut it down, and then Unicron is kind of hanging above Prime, and then Prime gets the idea to basically destroy the device, destroy the massive tower, and essentially send Unicron back into space, which he succeeds, but everybody clears out the area, and Prime, he survives the blast, but then gets sucked back into space, but then gets grabbed by Noah, be his axe, and like 2 all at one, Noah says, and then Primal pulls him back on the path and to safety, and Prime transforms, and Noah gets on behind Prime and acts like a booster as they escape the collapsing bridge, and they both make it to safety, and both Autobots and Maximals watch the volcano destroyed, and like evil will never go away, it will always come back, I think, from Cheetor, he says, and Prime will be like, when they return, we'll face them together. Something like that. And then it goes to the Prime speech, which I can't remember what he said. And also then it goes to the Noah speech, which I also can't remember what he said. So probably, again, I'd probably need to re-watch this a couple times. But both speeches, come directly, quickly, and after that, it's like, after Unicron's defeated, like, okay, we got to get the speeches out of the way quickly, we need the ending. And then we get to the ending of the movie, and this is where the interesting part happens. This is kind of, would be something at the end credits, but Noah goes for a job interview. He meets with this new bald agent guy, and he's kind of being all sus about, oh, you want the job? And he's gonna, help pay for his brother's healthcare, free round the clock 24-hour doctors. But just as it gets a little bit weird, he hands Noah a card, pushes a lever on the back wall and opens up this sort of secret military base behind him, and he goes down the elevator and like, consider the job. As he goes down, and Noah looks at the card, it is the symbol for G.I. Joe, which is hinting at a G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover film, which is I'm kind of mid about. I'm kind of both either excited on one hand and kind of semi not excited. I don't know how to feel about this, but then the end credits happen. But then there's a scene midway through the credits where Noah and the guy who's helping him steal the Porsche, aka Mirage, has been getting parts to basically bring Mirage back, and then it's a scene where Mirage transforms and reveals himself to the guy, and then it goes to the end credits. I think there was an end credit scene, which if there is, I might make a edit if I do find one, but that was Transformers Rise of the Beast, and I absolutely enjoyed the film. I say it's fairly, up there with the Bumblebee. I say it's fairly up there with the Bumblebee movie, and also with the Transformers 2007 movie. So like that is a plus for me, and also it's kind of establishes this kind of reboot universe, or the Nightverse, with the Bumblebee movie and this movie, and possibly the G.I. Joe movie. I know there was a Optimus Prime solo movie that was supposed to be working on, but there's also Transformers 1, which I don't know if it's in the same universe, but I'll talk about that, the cast and what I thought about that in another video. But I have to say, if I have to rank it out of 7 out of 10 for this film, I would probably be a solid 7 out of 10. There were a few things that, I kind of felt were a little bit jank. I don't know if it's really worth waiting 5 years for this movie. I mean, I'll leave that up to you if you after watching it, but definitely, fun ride, simple story, very detailed robots, robot on robot action, what's more than love in Transformers. So really good 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed myself. So this has been Dreadwing 2029, signing out and saying to maximize the hype for a new Transformers movie, or possibly with G.I. Joe. I'll see you guys next time. Catch ya.